Good morning. You're listening to the BLAINESWORLD Show, heard each Wednesday here on WPVM 103.7 in Asheville, North Carolina. You can also listen online at WPVMFM.org and watch on WPVM's Facebook page. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield. I'm here at my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And I'm speaking to a friend of mine, who's going to talk about his business in a second. I should mention, actually, my friend's name is Steve Jencks, and welcome aboard, Steve.
Thank you very much, Blaine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, you can also, by the way, wave to all your fans and friends on Facebook.
Hi.
Okay, and what we do on the show each week, Steve, we focus on both the Asheville theater scene as well as some of the good things that are happening in Asheville and surrounding areas in Western North Carolina. And you're certainly one of the good things, I think, in that you kind of are an amazing guy. You do about 27 different things at once. So it's kind of amazed me about you. I just mentioned that you own a business, which we'll talk about, called Incredible Towns of WNC, a marketing and promotions company. And you also host business work networking meetings throughout Western North Carolina. He has lived in WNC for over 21 years, has been involved in local theater in one capacity or another. And he loves helping businesses grow. And the question I ask Steve, when I first meet somebody on the air for the first time, is you grew up where?
Out west, basically.
Okay.
Born in California, grade school in Fort Collins, Colorado, teen years in Alaska, and then 20 years in Southwest Oregon, and then I've been here for 21.
And when you grew up as a kid, did you always know you wanted to be this sort of entrepreneur helping other businesses?
No, my mother took me to a radio station when I was 8 years old. She won a contest or something, and I got the tour and I was hooked, and my life's goal was to be a DJ, and I hit my life's goal before my 21st birthday.
What, you were a DJ?
I did that for about 20 years, and mostly in Oregon. Started in Anchorage, Alaska, and had a great time. And then radio kind of went south and I went a different direction.
And one of the cool things, and we'll talk about this time permitting too, I know you have been involved in theater, and I've actually seen you on stage. How'd you get the theater bug?
Drama club in junior high and high school. And then I got a job in radio. And when you start in radio, you usually work nights. And funny thing, rehearsals and performances in theater happen at night. So I got out of it. Then I had kids. My youngest especially fell in love with the stage, and I would take her to auditions and such, and got to know a lot of people in the theater community. And then one day I took her to audition for A Midsummer Night's Dream seven or 8 years ago, more than that, and said, okay, I'll be out here. She said, no, you're coming in, you're auditioning, because she found out I had done theater in high school. And it really irritated her because I got a better role than she did.
But that was at Montford?
Yes.
Oh, so how cool was that? So that was the first time you ever appeared with her on stage?
We actually weren't on stage at the same time. We have done a couple of plays where we've shared the stage, but yes, it was very cool to be on stage with my kid, who was 1,000 times the actor I was.
Because I have this great idea, Steve. I want you to keep it in the back of your mind. As a fundraiser for either Montford or one of the other local theaters, I want everybody to do their very first play they ever did. For example, you said as a kid, you did some acting?
Yes.
Do you remember the first play you were ever in?
I believe it was A Christmas Carol.
Okay. And how old were you?
I was in junior high school, one of the two. I know I played Bob Cratchit in a comedic style.
Good memory. But wouldn't that be incredible, and especially for your daughter, for example, that if we did now for you to do that role, 5 minutes, wouldn't that be a fundraiser, seriously, that everybody would do their very first role? Because I assume you don't have a videotape of that?
Oh, no.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. That's something we'll have you do in your spare time.
I'm old enough that phones didn't have cameras back then.
Okay, well, I'm even older. I didn't think they had phones when I grew up. They had the tin cans. But go back to then. So you did the radio, you did that stuff. How did you get into this whole concept of the Incredible Towns of WNC?
Well, I was working for a local answering service, and I was their salesperson, and I needed more exposure because they weren't doing any advertising or anything. So I heard about this thing called business networking, and I went to and joined BNI, and they taught me. I learned the basics in BNI, and I was a member of that for about a year, and then I started finding lots of other networking around, and I've been just business networking fool in Western North Carolina for over 15 years now, and I loved it. And then a friend of mine, Choya Harden,
Right.
was working for Rely Local, and Rely Local went under, but he liked what they were doing, and he had some better ideas as well. And so he started Incredible Towns here in Asheville in Western North Carolina. Then he moved his family to Tennessee and chased after me for about a year to take over this, to start working for myself again instead of other people. And I was already doing the networking, and I was going to all the I knew what was happening with Incredible Towns, and I was doing all the incredible business networking. So it just seemed like a really good fit. And it was 2 years last February.
And talk about Incredible Towns then for the folks who don't know what it is, plus for the folks who may want to check it out themselves. What is it?
Incredible Towns exists to help our clients get on page 1 of Google. We don't guarantee it. We don't promise it, because no one can. If they do, run away fast. But most of our clients get on page 1 of Google within a year, often sooner. And we do that with third-party links, often referred to as backlinks. It's third-party validation. If your spouse tells you something, this is great, we need to do this, and you think, oh, okay. And then another friend also tells you later on, oh, this is a great thing, you need to do this. And same thing your spouse did. You go back to your spouse and says, hey, so-and-so told me this is great, let's do this. Your spouse, when they're done being angry with you, will be happy that you've decided to do it. We are the friend. Okay, we say this business is great. Incredibletowns.com is important to Google for many various reasons. And it's all because of what we do with promoting our clients. And we promote them on our social media, which has over 10,000 local followers. And all of that, everything we do is designed to get our clients on page 1 of Google, to get business found on the internet.
Now, aside from Incredible Towns, though, you also, as you're telling me off the air, and we'll mention it now as well, you also sponsor, I guess, or run a fantastic range of seminars. Talk about what they are.
Well, it's just business networking meetings, lunch meetings. The first Tuesday of every month is it's a lunch meeting at the Holiday Inn, East Asheville. They all start at 11:30. The first Wednesday is in Hendersonville at Mike's on Main upstairs. The second Wednesday is, I believe it's the second Wednesday. It's in West Asheville at Yao Buffet. And then the third Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't know. I look at my Google Calendar in the night before and to know what I'm doing the next day. But that it's our South Asheville meeting is at Wild Wing Cafe on Long Shoals Road. Also, you do 60-second roundtable, your elevator speech, you pass business cards. It's what most people who've been to networking meetings think of as a networking meeting. And once a month, we do an evening social event too. The location varies, usually at a brewery or a cidery or something like that. This month's is coming up Wednesday evening, the 26th, 27th. Not great with dates, but I believe this is airing on Wednesday. And so it's that night, tonight, if you will, at Blue Ghost Brewing at 5:30. And if you are a business person, bring your business cards and do some socializing. And as extra added incentive, I buy the first beer.
Well, a compliment to you folks, and I really mean it, is that one of the reasons I love your networking events is they're not real high pressure events, and that I don't have to go. We won't mention the other organization you mentioned earlier, but I don't have to go and have 17 leads and
Yes.
do something specific. The whole idea of people should just kind of go and have a good time too, as opposed to having to do something, and it's quite nice.
Networking it's so you get to know people, and because we do business with people we know, and you get to know them, you get to trust them, you get to like them. So I've been told that my meetings, the meetings that I host, are the most fun networking meetings in Western North Carolina. I like to believe that because life's too long to not have fun. And so, yeah, we have a good time. People get to know each other. There have been some really close and really good friendships formed at our meetings because of the networking. And then the evening socializing is not sitting around a table doing your elevator speech, passing business cards. It's actually getting to know someone. It's what networking really is. You just travel around and meet everybody and talk and ask them what they do for a living, and then take it past that. Talk about the kids, talk about your hobbies, get to know people. That's what the networking thing is all about, is because we do business with people we know first.
One of the cool things to the one session I went to that you ran was that I was just there, kind of, a friend brought me, and actually won a prize. It's kind of cool that, and by the way, help me with the name, I should know it, but the guy who sponsored the prize, I mean, friendly with the guy with the imprint,
T-shirts.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
Big Frog custom T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
just because I went to a networking event and
We have door prizes.
but I got friendly with him and won a door prize and had him on my show, a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to come, I want to see his place to check it out. But just because he was there and wasn't selling me anything, but just kind of in a very positive way, he was just meeting me. I really enjoyed that, and
He did my shirt.
Oh, did he really?
There it is.
Okay.
I'm backwards.
You're wearing it. Well, talk a little bit about that, if you would, Steve, in terms of when somebody goes to an event, and I do this with my SCORE clients and other folks as well. I guess there are two things you could do. You could try to meet all 53 people at the event, and get 53 business cards, or is that necessarily the best thing to do? What should be your objective if going to, for example, the one of your regular monthly meetings?
The regular lunch meetings, go there, practice your elevator speech. You'll have 60 seconds. And I do set a timer and ask people to wrap it up in just a few seconds if the timer goes off. Practice your elevator speech. You pass the business cards, and everybody tells you about their business or about themselves. And then after the meeting's over, if you want to ask more questions of somebody, you go up to them after the meeting or maybe set a time to do a one-on-one meeting over coffee or beers. My favorite is beers, but not everybody wants to do that, and that's okay. I'm supporting local business. But yes, do not come expecting orders and orders. Don't bring your order book. You're not going to get orders it's very rare that you're going to get orders at the meeting, at your first meeting. It's after people get to know you. Because lots of people come, they'll do one, maybe two meetings, and then it didn't work for me. That's because you stopped working it. Just come with the idea of getting to know people and helping them get to know you. That's the whole purpose of networking.
And one thing, Steve, I try to encourage people to do is when you go to a meeting, again, you don't have to get 53 cards, get maybe 3 or 5, that you really get to know those people. And then talk a little bit about, after you get the card, what should you do with it?
Absolutely follow up. Send them an email. It's good meeting you. Like to know more about your business. You want to meet for coffee. That is, if you want to know more about them and their business, right, and want to meet for coffee. Definitely follow up. Otherwise, you just have a big pile of business cards on your
right,
table, and that's it. Personally, I don't collect the business cards because IncredibleTowns.com is a business directory, and we offer free business listings. It takes less than 10 minutes to register and set up your listing: name, address, phone number, website, email address, and logo. Less than 10 minutes. So, and the incentive is, like I said earlier, I've been doing business networking in Western North Carolina for over 15 years. If you need somebody to do a business, to do a service, or you need goods, I probably know them, and I get requests for referrals every week, sometimes every day. So they put their information in IncredibleTowns.com. Then I have their contact information, because otherwise I'll have 4,000 business cards on my desk. I do a lot of networking.
Is the database you maintain, is it broken down by category or?
Yes. It is a business directory. And you can go in and search for whatever criteria you want to search for. It has categories. There are thousands of listings in there, and so they are broken down into categories. It's a pretty easy to navigate website. The search feature is really handy.
And I mean, this, you're teaching me, and hopefully other people viewing the show, that this is a service you're offering to the community. There's no charge for the service?
Not at all. Not for free listing. You know, it's like your online business card. We do have some paid listings. You get more bells and whistles with paid listings. They're extremely affordable. They're crazy affordable. And you get a lot of backlinks. You get a lot of third-party validation from our website, and that's how we help people climb up the ladder to page 1 of Google. But yes, it's a free listing. We also have some other free stuff there. A community events calendar. Please log in and use that thing. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's absolutely free. You just have to register, and once you've registered, your browser will automatically fill in your name and password if you have it set to, and you go in, you set up your event in the calendar, and a couple of minutes later you're done. It's so easy.
Aside from getting in the website and contacting with you folks, if a business wants to get higher up on those Google listings or Google ratings, what are some things they can do? Can you share any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing you do is become a client of Incredible Towns.
Okay. I love the subtlety of that
Yes.
message.
Yeah, subtle, like a billboard upside the head. We have a free PDF about it's called Street SEO, the Street SEO guide. But the very first thing, any photo that you upload anywhere on the internet, I don't care if it's LinkedIn or any number of places, if it's something to do with your business, don't upload mylogo.jpg, because nobody is searching Google. Nobody is Googling my logo. Google doesn't look at photographs. It looks at file names. Change that file name before you upload it. Make sure each photo you upload has your business name and also has a few search terms, a few keywords for your website or wherever you're wanting people to find you. Do that. If you have photos up there, take them down, rename them, put them back up there. Your business name and keywords.
Well, give an example then. So if I was trying to think of, I was an accountant, right? Give an example of what they could be doing.
I'll give you an example of everything I upload. It
Even
says
better.
Incredible Towns, no underscore between the words, no dash. You can put spaces in the file names. Incredible Towns, marketing, promotion, networking, business networking, and I'll use many other keywords, but 5, 6, 7 words per photo, and change that file name, because that's what Google looks at. And the more you're referenced, the more your keywords are on, the more of your keywords that are out there, the more you're going to show up. That is first and foremost. Well, actually, that's second. First of all, go look at your website. If your business name is not on the homepage in text at least twice, put it there. It's amazing to me how many people have their business name, yeah, but it's part of a graphic. It's part of an image. And the image that they upload is, here's my image.jpg. So your business name is nowhere. Google can't see it. Make sure it's in the text at least twice on your homepage and at least once on every single page. It's so simple, but so many people forget to do it.
Well, it's funny you said that, Steve, because I find that so many people also forget to give basic information about your business. That sometimes I got to search to find the phone number, or have to search to find an address.
Yes.
And my concept is to just make it as easy as possible, as you're saying, for people to find you and hit them over the head with it repeatedly.
Yeah. I would also say, for businesses, make sure you have a business Facebook page. Make sure you have a business LinkedIn page. Make sure you have a Google My Business page. In that order, not that order. Google My Business, Facebook business page, LinkedIn business page. You can also get business pages on Twitter and Instagram, all the social media. Get business pages.
How important are ratings that you get?
Oh, you mean people leaving
Right.
reviews?
Yeah.
They're very important because more and more people are looking at reviews before they're looking at any other part of anything to do with you. If they hear about your business and they'll search for Incredible Towns reviews or reviews for Incredible Towns, and people are looking for reviews and they're paying attention to them. Reviews are really important. Answer each one. Even if it's just thank you, we appreciate you. Answer each negative review. Answer those and make sure that everything is taken care of. You want people will see the negative reviews, and you want them to see that you're willing to work with someone who is unhappy with whatever your service or product is, that you're willing to work with them. That goes a long way.
Talk about how to get reviews. In other words, your business. Can you imagine, Steve, that you should actually ask people to give a review?
Yes.
Talk about the process.
Ask them to do it, just flat out in networking meetings. I tell people, it's the best thing you can do for your friends in business is leave them a review. If you see anything on social media that they post, click like, react with it, share it, comment on it, whatever. But on your tagline, on your business email, down at the bottom where you have your name, your phone number, and your title and all of that, down at the bottom, say, please review us on Google, and then make the word Google an actual link to where they can review. Please review us on Facebook. Please review us. If it's 7 different reviews, do it, because some people will love to do that. Your friends will absolutely love to do it, especially if you make it easy for them. They just have to click the link and it takes them there.
And I think you hit a key to it. You have to make it easy for them, but you also have to invite them to do it. You have to kind of invite them repeatedly when they're not going to do it.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to sing your own praises. Toot your own horn. Nobody's going to do it better than you. That's what networking is for. Toot your horn. What is it? Shameless promotion. Have no shame. Nobody's going to promote you like you can.
One of my favorite lines you're reminding me is from Ken Blanchard. I don't know if you know the name, but he wrote the book, The 1 Minute Manager. And he said, word for word, almost what you said. He said, if you don't toot your own horn, somebody else will use it as a spittoon. So, but isn't that true though? And yes. I'm going to compliment you. You're up there, and I'm saying that in a positive way, that, you do get out there and tell people about what you're doing, because if you don't, nobody else is going to,
Yes.
So
I tell new people in business who are just starting to come to meetings or, asking me stuff. I offer free suggestions all the time, rarely advice, but often people are constantly calling me, and the first thing I will tell them to do is go everywhere and do everything. Join Asheville Chamber, join Henderson County Chamber, join Fletcher Area Business Association. Join those and go everywhere, do everything. All the ribbon cuttings, all the networking events, all the grand openings, especially if you're selling something, because if you're helping a business celebrate their grand opening and ribbon cutting, they're really happy to see you. Any other time you go walking in to try and talk to them about your product or service, you're just another salesman.
Well, Steve, I also tell people something else that you just said, which is just kind of a nice thing. Not only do you go there, but get your picture taken and post it on their Facebook page or their LinkedIn page or whatnot, and show you're supporting them. But so it kind of helps you indirectly, but it also helps them, that to just go there is one thing, but that make your presence known.
Yes.
It's kind of
and
nice.
Brand yourself.
Right.
Always wear a logo. I will go out on Friday nights to sing karaoke and drink beer, and I'm wearing my logo.
Yeah.
Always do it, because you never know where your business next client is going to come from.
Well, it's funny you say that, because also we have a landscaper, a very good landscaper, and I tell him, your truck, have a sign on your truck, that you're at our place. Remember the old-fashioned sandwich boards, have a sandwich board that you're there, because if you don't put the notice out, nobody else is going to use it,
Yeah.
And back to your T-shirt, it's not a bad idea as a giveaway. We already talked about. We'll give him a mention. Name of the guy we get the T-shirts from.
Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more.
They're the best. But you want to get your T-shirt. But the beauty of it, not only you're wearing it, but you can sometimes give them to your customers and clients, and they'll wear it, and they're promoting you.
Oh yeah, and that also works with pins and mugs and giveaways with your logo on them. Brand yourself. I know several people that offer. I know people that offer everything. You need something branded, pens or anything, shoot me an email or something. I'll hook you up. Or go to incredibletowns.com and look in the directory.
Okay. Now, and so the directory is available to anybody?
Yes. Okay,
so you don't have to register or be a member. You can just check it out.
No, you can go there, incredibletowns.com. We are here in Western North Carolina. We are also in Tri-Cities, and we just launched in Knoxville. So if you're a business person, you can do business in any of those other areas. Set up a free listing. Maybe talk to them about paid.
You mentioned Troy, who started it in this area.
Yeah.
Did he now do this in Tennessee?
When he moved up to Tennessee, he started the Tri-Cities, Incredible Towns of Tri-Cities. And now he has my counterpart up there is a guy named Winston. He's doing what I do up there. And Choya is now concentrating on Knoxville, which we just launched like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's people are really happy about it. I was there at a big networking convention helping Choya. I was manning the table. He was working the room. We were launching Incredible Towns Knoxville. There are a lot of networking organizations, networking meetings up there. They all charge. They all charge for membership, and they're all industry exclusive. We're going to do real well there because we're not industry exclusive. We don't charge for our meetings. We ask you to support the restaurant by eating when you come to the meeting. The only industry exclusive thing we do is Incredible Business Networking sponsorships. So our sponsors will not have anybody doing the same type of thing as a sponsor.
And that's, again, one of the things I liked about Incredible Towns, that not only did I feel welcome to it, but I did not have to join. I did not have to be the only thing what I was doing. Talking a little bit about then Incredible Towns. How many Incredible Towns are there across the nation? Ballpark.
Every town's an incredible town, Blaine.
No, but I'm saying but this is this a franchise operation or like a franchise?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Right.
But I own Incredible Towns of Western North Carolina.
Right.
Winston owns Incredible Towns of Tri-Cities. We have the 3 right now. Like I said, Choya used to work for Rely Local, and Rely Local was big for a long time until the owners got more interested in, I don't know, their yacht in the south of France or something, and they ignored the business and it died. Choya liked what they did, and so Incredible Towns was born.
I didn't realize that. Very interesting.
And once we get Knoxville up and running, and I say we because we all work together on it, and because all of my listings help every other territory too, because it's all incredibletowns.com. It makes us more powerful with Google. The more areas we open, we're probably going to do Greenville next, or maybe Sevier County, because that's where Choya lives, or up in that area anyway. We're going to expand outward from the epicenter, which is here.
Gotcha. And if folks want to then get in touch either with you or Incredible Towns, if you would give contact information.
We're all over Facebook. You want to know about the meetings? We're on Meetup. Search for Incredible Business Networking. You can get to me through incredibletowns.com. My phone number is up there. The email address, it's Steve Jencks at incredibletowns.com. It's really easy, unless you can't spell my last name. My ancestors threw a C in there just to mess with people. And so, you can find us all over Facebook and social media, and incredibletowns.com and Meetup, and I have. Yeah, there are other places too, but those are the main ones.
I'll support the mention that it's definitely something folks should check out. No cost or obligation, just check it out. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And you'll get to see not only Steve Jencks, but you'll also get a kick out of meeting him. Steve, thank you very much for being my guest this first half hour on the Blaine's World Show. And Thanks, now that you're back in business, I hope to see you at a Incredible Towns meeting sometime near future.
All right, thanks.
Okay, good speaking to you, buddy. Be well.
You too.
Okay, and Steve kind of works its way out of the studio. Let me see if I can make him, it's a technique, if I can make him disappear. See you, Steve. We're going to try to get our next guest in, and I think he's there. Great. And as our next guest works his way into the Zoom studio, perfect timing. I think that's Steve. I don't want Steve.
You brought me back.
Well, okay. A second time. Scott joining. So I want to have you disappear again, Steve.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Scott.
Okay. And we'll have, and as Scott gets squared away here, I'd just like to mention that WPVM's mission is to foster community through programming that cultivates dialogue to inform and entertain. The station provides the medium for artists, businesses, community leaders, and nonprofits to share their voice on live radio. Listeners are invited to help support WPVM's efforts by making a tax-deductible contribution. You can do so by going to the website wpvmfm.org and looking at the donate option on the upper right-hand side. It's next my pleasure to introduce my second guest, and he is Scott Lask, and he is the founder, chief portfolio and plan designer for Scott Lask Wealth Management Group. And welcome aboard, Scott. You can wave to all your fans in Facebook world. So you want to wave to everybody?
Hello, everyone. Thanks
Okay.
for having me, Blaine.
Well, it's our pleasure. I should mention that Scott is involved in managing money, designing financial plans, and building people's retirement dreams. And it gives him the same thrill and satisfaction he gets when he plays Led Zeppelin on my guitars. And I have to ask you, do you have your guitar with you? Do you have your guitar? Oh, wait, I can't believe you. Are you kidding me?
I always keep it in the office. I have 2 guitars in the office.
Oh, my goodness. Too cool. Next time, by the way, I want to get you to actually play it.
Okay.
When he gets both right is one of the greatest and most satisfying feelings in life. He has successfully guided clients since 1983. We have 2 key corporate values. We give everything away. Like that, people want education and understanding of their best options. And 2, we never sell you. Very nice, or ask for your business. No one wants to be sold. Relationships flourish from trust and reliability. And Scott, the question I always ask when I have a guest on for the first time is, you grew up where?
I grew up predominantly in a neighborhood called Far Rockaway, New York.
Wait, are you kidding me? Wait a
No,
second.
I'm not.
I grew up in Lawrence.
Get out.
Yeah, Far Rockaway, that is too cool.
Yeah, you were just over the border.
We'll have to compare notes about this sometime. Very cool. You probably,
Yeah.
well, I probably was about 20 years before you. So, in terms of growing up. So when you grew up as a kid in Far Rockaway, I knew where the subway, I used to go into New York, you could take the subway, get into New York City. Too cool. When you grew up as a kid, you always know you wanted to be in the investment business?
Not really. That kind of evolved. I always had this image in my head that I'd be a suit, I'd be in a suit and tie. My dad was a tradesman, and I love tradesmen. I just saw myself, talking with people and helping them and sharing information. And, somehow or other, I got paid for doing that. And
When did you start getting into investments though?
I personally started investing right after college in 1978. And I must confess, my first investment was an absolute disaster. It was a little company called Captain Crab's Takeaway.
Okay.
And when I read all this, information, I thought, this is the McDonald's of seafood, right? And I remember going into Thompson McKinnon, where the neighborhood I worked, to try to open the account, and the stockbroker, who was probably mid 40s, late 40s, trying to convince me not to do it, to just save my money, or if I was going to buy a stock, buy an IBM or a General Motors. Anyway, went to zero. Good lesson. But I worked primarily in textiles. I was what they call a gray goods broker. We sold the unfinished fabric. And the way I got in the business, Blaine, my wife and I were newly married, as were many of our friends. And one of her oldest friends came over for dinner with her husband. He and I had never met. And while we were sitting in the living room waiting for us to be called into the extravaganza our wives had made for us, he looked me straight in the eye after 10 minutes. He goes, "I hate to tell you, but you're in the wrong business." I go, "Excuse me?" He goes, "You should be in my business. Let me get you an interview at Merrill Lynch." And that's really how it all began.
What, you started with Merrill Lynch,
No, I didn't start with
I
Merrill
mean-
Lynch. I actually started with Shearson.
right?
Okay. But that was 1983. And like most people, I just knew that stocks and investments were a way to create wealth. But I had a lot of learning to do. And in those years, they didn't train you about investments, they train you how to sell. And as I had mentioned to you when we first met, that we don't ask for the business because in 1983, we were the people that were calling America going, you've got to step in. Pfizer's going in front of the FDA. They're going to get the approval. It could happen while we're on the phone. And you either, bought some stock or you hung up. And we just did that 300 or 400 times a day. And just an awful way to make a living. And it's just not fun.
Well, and I told you off the air that that was kind of my first experience. I had a cousin of a cousin who was in the business, and all he ever did, and it drove me crazy, Scott, was he'd call me at least once a week, buy this, sell this. And I was like churning stuff left and right like crazy and explain the concept explain how brokers at that time got paid.
Because everything was commission driven back then. So, and in 1983, and until the internet really found its legs, Wall Street had the information. If you wanted to know about a company, you had two choices. You either call the company and they would send you the standard press package. And you had to be willing to go through the numbers because it had to give you balance sheet, income, and all of that. But if you wanted additional, you had to go to the investment firms. You had to go to Wall Street. Well, that changed. And, as the public became, I think, pretty knowledgeable about, the investment choices open to them, the industry went to a fee-based, performance-based model, which frankly is so much better because it puts everyone on the same side of the equation. Okay. If a client makes money with me, then I earn more of an annual fee. If he loses money or she loses money, then I make less. So we're all on the same page.
Well, what's interesting, I think, about your story or your background is so you went with, you were with some major firms, but then at some point in time you went independent. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
What brought that on?
Well, I don't want to say this in a way that'll be construed as a criticism, but when you do work for a large firm that has thousands and thousands of layers of management and reps, they have a business model, and you wind up as an advisor paying for a lot of services you never use. For instance, whenever I had high net worth clients that needed estate planning, I found that the big firms offered a boilerplate plain vanilla. Everyone's situation is different. The taxation could be, it's very complicated. So I would always refer them to outside attorneys. Well, after a period of time, and also being encouraged to do certain products that I knew had no place in my practice, I decided I'm done. They can keep their business model because I don't want to be a cog. Okay. The only goal I want and the only agenda that I really wanted to live was I'm here to find the solutions that fit the client. If I can't do that, I'm going to work to refer them to someone who can. And
so
that's why I went independent.
When did that take place about?
I opened on January 1st, 2004. And I just need to say this because I'm not a, look at me type of guy. The only reason my name is on the company is because when I went to file for the registration, there were dozens of wealth management groups in the state of New York. So I know from years of cold calling, there were only 12 or 13 Scott Lasks in the entire country. So I figured after 5 attempts, this would work. And that's but if you call the office, the girls answer Wealth Management Group, because that's who we are.
But Scott, they'll find you also through Scott.
They'll find me. but the point is, as we grow the practice, yeah, I'm still, the name on the door, but the goal with any business is to bring in enough people that it can run itself.
And talk about then your business, or I guess business of helping folks such as me and others as well. What's your view on investing overall? And then we'll talk about some of the
Okay.
specifics.
There are three basic elements that we discuss with people and try to get them to realize you got to do all three. The first is you got to invest for the long term, and I'll tell you why. Yes, there are times you've got to be a little shorter term if you see a major shift in, government policy, regulation, or a new paradigm. That's going to look. If you and I remember the good old days of vinyl albums, but when the next generation of technology hit, the vinyl album business was gone in 18 months. So we do believe in long term, and I'll tell you why. And I like really telling this to the younger people who are just getting started. If I give you $10,000 and I take you back to 1980, I'm going to give it to you. But there are two conditions. One, you got to put it into the stock market. And two, you got to leave it there until last night. And then I ask them, what do you think it's worth? And they all go, well, I don't know, 500,000. And the actual number as through last week was 892,000 and change. And the point is, I can't own some of these magnificent companies outright, but I can still own them. And, if there's one thing I think humans, at least Americans, have proven is they're always going to innovate. They're always coming up with the next generation of something. And I mean, if you remember, here's a great golden nugget for you and your viewers. 99% of the time, when you see a major magazine cover proclaiming an outcome, it's usually right to do the opposite. And I'll reference Apple in 2001. They said, that's it, Apple's done. If you would have bought Apple into even 1,000 shares, you'd be a multimillionaire today.
Well, you raised such a good point, Scott, because one of the things I used to do when I would have my cousin's cousin, I told you, a stockbroker, or I'd have former students call me. And I'm telling you, Scott, every time they call me, I put it on a sheet of paper and look 6 months later, and I'd say 98% of the time they will out of business, just your point. So the point is, just because somebody gives you a great tip, and what a great example of the magazine cover. You see on the magazine cover, so often those companies are out of business.
Exactly.
So it's not a short-term thing.
No, you're trying to build wealth for the long haul.
Yeah. So you said that was one thing.
That was one. The second thing, and again, this comes from personal experience of having, a business venture 30 years ago go south in a big way. I insist that every client set up an automatic cash savings every paycheck. And half the people say, I'm too tight, I can't do it. But we usually get them to do 3 to 5%. And initially it's like, and then all of a sudden you get a call. And I had a partner at a big accounting firm up here in the Hudson Valley. She didn't think she could do it. Well, we got her to do it. In 6 months, and she calls me, she goes, I have $7,500 sitting in the account. I go, and this is a problem. Why? Okay. And the reason I did it was because when we went through that business collapse, there was no cash. It came in, it went out, it came in, it went out. And all of a sudden, my wife and I realized, whoa, we need some reserve. We got kids, we got a house. So while we're building back up, we got to have some, rainy day. And so I do it as a matter of, you need the cash because life happens. Second is, you are literally increasing your net worth every pay period. Okay. And you do this systematically over 10, 15, 20 plus years. You're going to have so much cash that opportunity comes to you and you'll have the cash to spend and still have plenty left over. And that's the third reason. You go back to a situation like last year at this time when the market was finally turning around after the collapse from the pandemic. I went to clients who have had on the program for a long time and say, all right, listen, now it's time to put some money in. And we would take, big sums of money, but what you had to do is buy the S&P 500, and by year end, you were up 30%. You know, the funny thing, I'll stop.
No,
I could go on forever.
well, no, but it's fascinating because I was going to ask you that 3 suggestions are excellent suggestions, but how do you know too that you're not being taken? And I mentioned the case of Madoff, for example, and I know I was always concerned about that. You know, I don't know you from anywhere. I get a referral,
Right.
and you tell me invest, do this, do that. How can an investor be confident in working with
With anyone.
Scott or anybody else? How do you
Right.
develop that confidence?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we did the entire pro bono concept of we're going to educate and give away. So when someone comes to us, the very first conversation is, I tell you the 3 steps. We're going to design a portfolio to, you know, from the get-go, lose less when the markets are collapsing.
Exactly.
And we've had a lot of success with that. Okay. We have a proprietary program that I created. It's a personal risk management assessment. It's been very effective and it's, you know, it's exclusive with our company. But you then say, tell me about your situation. What's going on? Why are you looking for an advisor or a different advisor? What's your biggest nightmare? When do you know? We got to put all the pieces on the table, and that's not one conversation. So even though, because of the way we approach, you know, our public, we've actually shortened the client acquisition time. Most firms, it still takes a year and a half for someone to say, okay, I trust and like you enough that I'll do it. Okay. And I got to be honest with you, Blaine, if someone came to me and on the second time we spoke said, I'm sending you a check, I go, no, you're not. I don't know if, you know, we're able to work with you.
Well, I love also what you just said too, a very important concept. You're talking, you mentioned before the idea of losing less, you know, and
Yes.
I think it's just the question I'll ask you is why that's so important, because when the market's going up, anybody can make money, or, you know,
Everyone's making
right.
money.
But when the market goes down, that's when you really respect the Scott Lask or somebody else, if they can prevent you. I love that term, lose less.
Well, here's the way it works in simple math. Okay. If the market's down 10% and we're down 6, and we all make the same rate of return going back up,
Exactly.
you and I will be at even first and continue then growing again while everyone is still catching up. Now, at the risk of a lot of people calling me up and saying, oh, yeah, show me, I will tell you that at the very worst, when the market collapsed last year, and don't listen, I've seen every crash since 1987. When the stock market loses 40% of value in 6 weeks, that should get everybody's attention. But the bottom line is our biggest drawdown was 23%. And that is what we were using as a more aggressive growth model for the younger clients. And the reason we did lose less is because we do have a risk. We have a risk piece that we literally sync up what you are comfortable mathematically accepting as a risk, not the usual, well, the market's down 15%. What do? I stick my head in the closet and scream. I call my broker in front. No, we make you confront the math. You know, the market's down this much. That means you're down 200,000. What do? And that really sinks it up, because I've had people come in and they're conservative, but their portfolio is taking risk like a drunken sailor. So that's how you lose less.
Talk about another concept you have, and I was fortunate to see a recent webinar that you conducted. I really enjoyed it.
And I thank you for coming.
Yeah, but it was what was so interesting, something I've been invested in, but a lot of folks still don't know about it. And I know you kind of get some of your clients into annuities.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about that whole concept, because unfortunately, I think they have a bad rap with some people.
They do, but a lot of that is still being perpetuated based on ancient news.
Right.
First and foremost, let me just tell your listeners, you better really understand what the annuity is and its limitations, but what you have to agree to, because it's not a simple contract. It's not like you bought IBM on Monday and on Tuesday you said, bad idea, and you just no. These are long-term contracts that are going to pay you a lifetime income. And the way the insurance companies view it, just like with your whole life policy, yes, we're going to pay you for life at some point in the future. But you got to give us time to invest the money so the contract will be full. And that's why, you have to know about the surrender charge. But the thing that I find is so wonderful about the asset is you're growing tax deferred. You have, depending on the carrier, you have opportunities to get in down years an interest bonus, which will keep you still growing forward. You can lock in annually any growth in the account. And yes, at some point, it is the only asset that we know where you can turn on an income stream that will pay you and your spouse for life. Now, why has it got a bad rap? A couple of reasons. Many years ago, when I had hair, okay, the problem, the problem with these contracts was the second you said to the insurance company, okay, I want to take on the, my income, the asset was lost to you. The income was there, but it was no longer your asset. So if you had $500,000 in there and it was going to pay you, I don't know, $15,000 a year, okay, $500,000 is now out of your estate. God forbid you die a month after you turn it on. That's it. It's over. That changed 15 years ago, but you still have a lot of firms. Look, mutual fund companies really didn't understand that they could partner with them for a long time. You have a lot of money managers. I won't mention this, but there are several that advertise saying, if you did this, you better call us because you may have really stepped in it.
Right.
Okay. And then I get the report and I realize they're talking about, a horse of a different color. But again, we put everyone, and I highly recommend this to anyone who's listening. It's a minimum 3 conversation process.
Right.
You've got to see what it looks like. And you have to really tell the advisor everything. Oh, do you get Social Security? Are you going to get disability? Is there a red
Right.
book? You got to put all the pieces on the table so you don't, because you don't want to put more into the contracts than you need to. Okay. But there are a lot of advantages to it because, you know what? God forbid I pass before, my wife and, she's 75 and can't work anymore. She'll always have the income. And whatever's left goes to our kids.
Well, not that, I'm recommending or you're recommending something specific, but I have just the point you raised that the market went down at one time. I could just watch it whenever it was.
Right.
I said to myself, Self, that can never happen to me again. I was going through a divorce at the time. And I said, I just don't want it. So I told the person I worked with, a good friend of mine too, so this is what I wanted to accomplish. They got me into annuities, which were paying very high amounts of time, but it's a pleasure because every month I get a check,
That's exactly right.
And the point you said too, I can plan it and I can live exactly the style of life I want to without having to worry about the market.
I'll give you a rule of thumb that
Please.
we figured out over the years. Most people, at best, they'll get about 40% of what they need in retirement in terms of income from Social Security.
Right. At
Now,
best.
at best, we have found that if we can get a client to go into their retirement with 60% of their income protected, meaning Social Security is coming,
Right.
to get all the stuff you hear. Okay, the politicians know one thing about America. You take that Social Security away, it's going to look like that scene from Frankenstein when the villagers went after Frankenstein themselves. Okay, it'll always be there. They'll just modify the drop. But if we can replace, for instance, we had a couple about 6 months ago. They were going to take $85,000 a year from their portfolio. What we did was we put this, an amount into the annuity so that they needed $150,000 a year to live and to have that elbow room between Social Security and what the annuity was going to bring. They had $100,000 guaranteed coming in each year. They reduced how much they'd have to take from their portfolio, and you know what? They were never ever going to be at risk of running out of money.
Right. And isn't that the concern, or certainly my concern, I guess a lot of people's concern? They want to have as much money as they need, the rest of their life.
Listen, I'm 65 years old, and in my lifetime, my cost, and my kids are grown. They're
Right.
out of the house. They're all, I don't pay for anything anymore except when I take them all to dinner. But my costs haven't gone down. I kid my sons that when I was first dating their mother, okay, what they pay for appetizers and cocktails just before they order dinner, I could buy the whole dinner. So,
Two questions in the remaining time.
yes.
Scott, in your spare time, I understand there's a book on the horizon.
Yeah, PJ and I are working on it. There's some improvements we want to make and add a little more content. Yes, but we're hoping to get it out. I'm going to say by Labor Day.
Okay, very exciting. So that'll be your first book.
That'll be my first book, and I'll send you a copy of chapter 1. I'd love to get your feedback.
Well, I'd love to share it, and then I want to also talk about and invite our listeners to check you out further for something else too. Again, I mentioned that I attended one of your webinars. You have a series, or you have these webinars every so often?
Yes, we have at least one a month. For instance, in March we did risk management. We pulled back the curtain and showed some of the work that we do, in the model and the assessment platform that we created. And then last month we did the one on building a personal pension.
Right, that's the one I think I attended. Yeah.
And next month, June 16th, we're doing it on. It's called net unrealized appreciation. Let me put it into English. When you're a business owner, you hope and pray that you get a really good price when you sell the business, and that'll be the big payment for your retirement. When you're a corporate employee, you need that company stock to really kick in for your retirement. There are ways that you can cut down on your taxes, because when that stock is in your 401k or company sponsored plan, they allow you a massive tax break if you follow their procedure. And it has a lot of implications. And there's a lot of folks out there that have, big positions in IBM or Merck or, whatever, and they may not be getting the education. So we're going to talk about that. And it's just a part of planning, but no one's really been doing any. So, and then we're going to have, a little later in the year, we're going to have some business, coaches come in, people who have a proven track record of, increasing sales or generating more profit. We're always looking for outside people to come in and talk as well.
If people want to find out about these webinars, how do they find out about them?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. We post them there all the time, or you can visit our website,
Which is
www.scottlask.com, and it's SCOTTLASK.com. Or you can, email me at scott.lask@Wedbush. It's WED as in David, B as in boy, USH.com. That's my back office broker dealer. Okay. Or just call us and ask us for the schedule.
And if you care, give the phone number.
845-774-2745.
Okay, and I'll have to ask you, so our mutual friend PJ Ewing doesn't get upset with us. You have to repeat that, the phone number.
Okay. All right. The phone number is 845-774-2745. And if you call, just mention Blaine's name and that you want a list of dates for our webinars.
And final question, 30 seconds. What's one bit of advice for somebody just sorting their portfolios?
First, set up the systematic savings of cash. Anyone listening, call me, email me, go to my website. It's a 3-4 step process. It'll take you about 20 minutes with your HR and you're done. Then, if you don't own a house, I recommend buying a house. I love real estate, but be careful. But then buy good quality names. You want to buy companies that will survive. The Procter and Gambles, the Mercks, the AT&Ts, the Verizons, the big heavy names that are every part of our daily life.
And I have to jump in here and thank you, Scott Lask, for being my guest the second half hour on the BLAINESWORLD show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'd like to thank Steve Jencks, first half guest, and Amy Chrislash, my producer. Also look forward to having you join me next Wednesday at 9 a.m. here on WPVM's 103.7 in Asheville, North Carolina. You can also listen online at WPVM FM. Do me a favor. We're going to say goodbye, but then stay on 2 seconds. I just want to wrap up with you. I want to speak about something you said. Okay, that'd be
Okay.
great. So thanks again, and hopefully we'll actually meet